Let's talk about Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. They're 0-2 right now, but they have been in two close football games, one against the Houston Texans and one against the Green Bay Packers as well. I want to talk about the offense first. Anthony Richardson, his completion percentage is the lowest in the NFL for any starter. It's not good. He has 3 passing touchdowns to 4 interceptions for 416 passing yards. But we have to put context here. They have the most drops in the last 2 weeks in the NFL. A lot of concentration issues by the wide receivers and the running backs. When Anthony Richardson puts the ball on a dime and they drop it, that's not on the quarterback. So I know you look at his numbers right now, you say, hey, this kid doesn't look good. He looks like a bust. And it's a lot of things that are concerning with Anthony Richardson. It's not even his decision making. It's the accuracy. Accuracy is the hardest thing to fix for a quarterback. We've heard Brian Dable say this about Josh Allen. We've seen other coaches go out there and say, hey, if a guy doesn't have the accuracy, it's going to be hard to go out there and work in this league. One of the positive sides of Anthony Richardson, he'll make plays like this right here. Loses his footing, throws it straight on the dime to Alec Pierce in the back of the red zone. Just a beautiful pass right here. Slipping backwards. Not too many quarterbacks can make that throw. Then you look at this play right here. Across the body, buys himself some time, middle of the field, right there to the wide receiver. Those plays look normal because we've seen guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes go out there and make those plays, but they're not normal for the normal quarterback. I think that Anthony Richardson will be a star. It's just going to take some time. It may even take a couple of years. Josh Allen wasn't a superstar within the first 2 years. Josh Allen looked like a bust, but you give him time. Now, what's so interesting with the Indianapolis Colts and Anthony Richardson, he has been put into a very good situation. You have a very good running back with Jonathan Taylor. You have a top offensive line from tackle to tackle with those guys, especially when you look at Quentin Nelson, who is still one of the best guards in the NFL. You look at Bernard Raymond and Braden Smith at their respective tackle positions. So he has weapons. Michael Pittman Jr. is a true number 1 wide receiver. He doesn't get the respect that he deserves. You also have Alec Pierce, who is starting to step up now. A couple of years ago, they were high on him. Did not pan out. That's why they went out there and they selected A.D. Mitchell out of Texas. But Alec Pierce has showed that he can go out there and make some big time plays for you. Just give him more chances. And it has been tough on all the wide receivers with this organization over the last few years because they haven't had consistent quarterback play. Ever since Andrew Luck retired, you've seen guys like Sam Elger, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers all come in and try to give you some burn. Matt Ryan, none of the guys are able to stick. So when you see a guy like Anthony Richardson, when he goes out there and he makes a crazy throw, you get excited. Then you get brought back down to earth a couple drives later when he goes out there and he throws an interception. He has to be better with the accuracy. And I think that Shane Steichen can coach him up on that and he can get him up to speed. He's done that with Jalen Hurts in the past. He has done that with Justin Herbert as well. It's just going to take some time. It took time for those quarterbacks. We have to go back to last season with Anthony Richardson. This was a guy that did not play much in college. He didn't play many snaps in college. He didn't play much football in high school either. This is a guy that is still young into his career. So when you look at it, you will be alarmed saying, hey, they spent a first round pick on this guy. Well, yeah, they did. He's a big quarterback with a huge arm. The completion percentage is not all on him. You got to put drop passes into this when a wide receiver slips down as well. The Colts just have a lot of adversity going on right now, and I do think that they'll be fine. Even with the interceptions that Anthony Richardson is throwing, and their run defense being terrible, which I'm about to touch on in just a second. They're still in these football games. They lost to the Green Bay Packers by 1 score. They lost to the Houston Texans by 1 score. They're right there, and they're still a young football team as well. Just be patient with Anthony Richardson, but he does have to be better, especially with some of the decision-making issues as well late in the game. If they can do that and let him run the football more, as long as he's able to slide down and take care of himself, this is still going to be a very explosive offense. I am just shocked by the amount of drops by the wide receivers and some of the accuracy issues with Anthony Richardson. I knew that they were bad last season, but they weren't this bad. And I understand that he spent majority of this offseason still recovering from that shoulder issue. This was a guy that cannot fully throw until a couple of months ago because he was still recovering from that injury. So I had to take all of that into account. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. A lot of the throws that he is missing is unacceptable for a starting quarterback. But you just have to be patient with him. And the same thing with Will Levis as well. Do I think that they can contend in this division? Right now, I would say no because of how bad their defense is against the run. But at the same time, if they can keep the game close and Anthony Richardson can just be a little bit better, They can go out there and they can compete with most teams in the NFL. And this is only week 2. As I record this video, we're entering week 3. So just be patient with every NFL team. To speak more about the defense, they're missing Samson Ebukam. He got injured in training camp. He tears his Achilles. That was a man that led the team in sacks last season. Their sack machine. That's a guy that goes out there and knocks off the quarterback. 9.5 sacks last year. Very good pass rusher. When you're missing him, you're going to be missing a lot of edge pressure. Now, they selected Latu in the first round. He's just a rookie. Give him some time as well. He's coming from UCLA. They have Kwity Paye, who has developed into being a very good pass rusher in his own right. DeForest Buckner is going to miss some time. He's on IR right now. He's going to miss the next 4 games or more. That's their best defensive player. And now you're depending on guys like Taven Bryant and Grover Stewart. Grover Stewart missed time last season dealing with a suspension. He's a solid defensive tackle. He's no DeForest Buckner. Their rushing defense has been terrible. When you look at what happened in week 1 against the Houston Texans, that should never happen. Joe Mixon went out there and basically helped the Houston Texans single-handedly win the game. CJ did have 2 passing touchdowns, but he only averaged 9.8 yards a throw. Joe Mixon averaged 5 yards a carry for 159 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. And they just bled out the clock. Anytime that you go against teams that will go out there and beat you in time possession, it's going to be hard for you to go out there and to win the game. The Houston Texans had the ball for 40 minutes against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts had the ball for 20 minutes. And the fact that they put up 27 points and they lost 29-27 is very impressive. Then when you look at what happened against the Green Bay Packers, this was the more frustrating loss if you are an Indianapolis Colts fan, because you had multiple chances to go down there, down the field and score touchdowns, but it came down to drop passes. Anthony Richardson throwing an interception, basically just misreading the NFL defense because he is still struggling to read NFL defenses. But the rushing defense showed its head again. Josh Jacobs had 151 rushing yards. That's 4 yards a carry. 4.7 yards to be exact. Malik Willis had 41 rushing yards. They got beat in time possession yet again. They had the football for 19 minutes and 49 seconds. The Green Bay Packers had the ball for 40 minutes and 11 seconds. This is back-to-back weeks to where teams have had the ball on you for 40 minutes. And you've only had the ball for 20 minutes. You're not going to win too many games. You're putting a lot of stress on the offense as a whole. Forget just Anthony Richardson. You're putting on the wide receivers as well. And Shane Steichen is not using motion as much to help Anthony Richardson fully see the field. But it's only so much you can do when you're down in the game. Now, you can't go back to your rushing offense because you're already down. And then if Anthony Richardson goes down there in the field, he throws a costly interception. Teams know at this point to go out there and run the football against the Colts. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to bleed the clock and run the football. If they go down there and they're up 14-0, the ball game's pretty much over with because your defense can't step up. You have names like Zaire Franklin, who is a very good linebacker. He has to be better as well. But it starts with their front 4. It starts with the defensive line. If they can't go out there and they can't stop the run, they can't make those key adjustments, it's going to be a long season for the Indianapolis Colts. I am surprised that this team lost 10-16 against the Green Bay Packers because of how horrible their defense was against the run. And I understand that they were going against a backup quarterback in Malik Willis, but give him credit. He played his butt off. And when you add in the interceptions of Anthony Richardson as well, it looks bad on paper. But they're in these games, which is even crazier to think about. I do think that they will be fine long term. This season right here just may be a wasted season, but at the same time, we're only 2 games into this thing. Now, you're still developing Anthony Richardson. I wonder how certain veterans feel about that. Because if you see a guy like Joe Flacco, not to say that he's going to go out there and lead this team to the NFL playoffs, but it's a chance he goes out there and he looks better than Anthony Richardson right now because he's going through a lot of growing pains. And most veterans don't want to just sit around and wait on a young quarterback while he develops. Because 9 times out of 10, if that quarterback reaches his full potential, that veteran may have one foot out the door already. He's not the same player that he was. So I do think that the Indianapolis Colts have butchered this process in terms of just not letting him sit down his rookie season. I think every quarterback should be given the opportunity to at least sit down for 6 or 7 games because the NFL is so different from college, and especially with a kid that hasn't played much football. And the same with Will Levis as well. He's getting a bad rep right now. I've given him a lot of criticism in the past, but these are guys that did not get much time to sit. And we're starting to see it. Usually when guys get to sit behind a quarterback for a year or two, they're better off for it. We've seen it with Patrick Mahomes. He only played one game his rookie season. It was the last game of the regular season. We got to see this with Aaron Rodgers. We got to see this with Jordan Love. Some guys come in like CJ and they immediately click. But that's few and far between. Usually, and statistics shows, when a guy starts his rookie season, he is not going to have a very good rookie season. It's a low chance of that happening. I look at Josh Allen, the first 2 years, they were stressful. It was tough to watch. But now you're enjoying the fruits of your labor. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'll give Joe Burrow his credit as well. He went in there, he completely transformed the Cincinnati Bengals, even though his rookie season was cut short due to an ACL injury. I think that Anthony Richardson will be okay. You have to give him time. I'm more so concerned about the defense of the Indianapolis Colts because last season, their defense was not this bad against the run. Their defense was solid. They did not have a top defense in the NFL, but it was solid. They could go out there. They could get after the quarterback. They could contain the run. Their secondary was their biggest concern, but they dealt with a lot of injuries in the secondary. And their secondary right now is up and down. But if that Russian defense cannot get better, you're not going to be in a good situation moving forward. They have allowed 474 rushing yards in the last 2 games. That is terrible. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts, and can they turn things around? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, we want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.